Obviously.
guys.
I thought if we made this a cooling center, that we'd have more people in. But I guess they thought the arenas were the cooling centers, so. But thanks for the press to come anyways, that's great on a hot summer night. But, we did have the cooling centers actually open today, so. Do we have anybody go, do you know? Okay.
I checked, and as of 4 o'clock, no.
No, so hopefully everybody has a nice cooling spot, but it's good to have them just in case. Some of our seniors and some people that don't have air conditioning. Okay. This public meeting isn't happening.
We're on 5A.
Yeah, I'm just gonna find my agenda here. I put it right here. Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Caldwell, that the minutes of the July 2nd, 2013 council meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Additional items, disclose other business. I might have one. Ron, you have one? Carried? Resolution for,
Mayor Bridge, item number 7, resolution moving into Committee of Adjustment.
all right,
We had a technical issue with the notice. It gave a 3 o'clock start time. We did inform the applicant this morning that we have to recirculate that, so we're going to do that. We did have one person come to the meeting at 3, and but they were fine, and we explained that, so we'll re-notify, and that will be held on August 6th at 5 o'clock.
okay.
So we won't have that motion to move into Committee of Adjustment,
Okay.
but we will now move on, if council so wishes, with item number 8.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Hemley, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the Town Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Thank you, Bill. And there's no public meeting, no delegations, public question period, no. Correspondence, has everybody had a chance to read the correspondence? It's interesting, there's 1, 2, 3 not willing host communities again.
Mayor Bridge, the one of most interest to me is the Emerald Ash Borer one. It's been located in 3 different counties. The interesting solution, I believe it was the warden of Huron County said they'll just cut all their ash trees down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that would be a very sensible solution, but just that there's one thing that perhaps, and I will bring it back to a future meeting, is that I think the province maybe has to relax the rules about self-application, like the normal person that has a dozen ash trees or can't afford to have a professional tree guy come in and apply the insecticide to prevent the emerald ash borer, and that would be one solution, is to relax the application laws on that a little bit. Just a comment.
Yep. They do?
And on behalf of council, I would just like to congratulate, he's not here tonight, is Chief Arrow
Right.
on his re-election as a director for the...
Yeah.
Just took my other item off. I just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so it's all right. No, it's all right. I'm glad you noticed that, and I think it is great that that Chris is on that board, because what he represents, and I don't know if everybody realizes it, he represents, I think he's one of the only ones on the board that runs a volunteer fire department on that board. Is he, Rick? I would say?
That's correct.
Which gives us really what we really need, I think, Rick, a voice out there when sometimes things are pushed through in a city level. No disrespect, because you're a city fireman.
Well, no, you're right, because most of the chiefs do so, they're full-time fire departments,
Yep.
and they're working full-time
Yep.
career firefighters. And to be honest with you, there's, well, since Harris's amalgamation of communities, there's now 445 communities in Ontario.
Mhm.
There's only 28, 30 full-time fire departments in Ontario, the rest are volunteer,
Yep.
so we have a very small voice and a very large population of volunteer
Yep.
firefighters, so.
So Chris being on there and having an opportunity to look at policies and whatnot is important. So thanks, Mary Lou, for that.
Just getting back to the emerald ash borer, I don't think we haven't had it diagnosed in our municipality. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority do provide that service if and when there was need to be treating trees. I don't,
They'll come right onto your property,
oh, yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, they have a forester there, and he's been trained, and he's offering that service on behalf of Saugeen
Excellent.
Valley, so. If we see a big ash tree that we want to save, there is an option out there not too far away.
Wellington County has got them in Wellington County. If you look in the Wellington County Green Legacy website, we do have the beetle, and we have the actual picture, and we do have a bit in Wellington County. I think it's in the south part. So I don't know what they're going to do, whether they're going to.
I thought Bayfield was the closest, but.
We have some in Wellington County supposedly. I
All
didn't
right.
say where, but I'm assuming it's in the south part, so. Anyways, be aware.
Mayor Bridge, the item 12G is the appeal from the Union of Quebec Municipalities for donation to Lac Meganti.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're interested in donating to that. Just checking back, I believe we gave a small amount to Godrich in the range of $100 or $50. Whether council's interested in that, you could add that to your motion to receive the correspondence if you wish to do that.
Okay. Discussion? Good.
I, as a council, would like to support them for $100. I think that, I mean, this is exceptional. And the tragedy is unbelievable that, I think every little bit helps. We could say that we'll all do it individually, if we wanted to and leave it, or, but I think it's council.
Yeah, that's my only thing. If we have a,
I believe this
Obligation.
council has only done it for Godrich so far, right?
yeah,
That I remember.
I believe so.
Do we have a policy, or we just kind of deal with them as they crop up?
We just deal with them on a case-by-case basis.
Because there's Calgary too now, there
They Calgary,
wasn't as much loss
High
of
River
life
is
there.
actually worse than Calgary.
So, yeah, I mean, so that's the problem, I guess, once
Yeah,
you start,
that's-
where do you stop?
And
But
there's
it's-
Toronto,
yes.
and their flood
so,
devastated their community.
I would second the motion if you want to make that motion to discuss it.
Now, listening to you, I'm not so sure, because like you say, there's a lot of need that has come up in the past 6 months that,
The unfortunate part is we're going to get into more of these
It's just beginning.
problems.
Just beginning, yeah. There's gotta be
I would support sending rather than monetary, I know maybe it doesn't sound as much, but support from a moral side, or just, wishing well. In fact, I had a little chat with one of our Communities of Blooms. She's just from outside of Montreal, and she knows the mayor very well of the town that has had this problem, and she knows some of the people, and it is a tragedy. Certainly is more our size. That would be one way I might look at supporting, in the sense that, but then again, how do you pick and choose? But it is similar, it's a similar size to us, and I don't know where they come financially, who's gonna come in with money, but I assume they're going to get some money from the federal government and from.
Yeah, it's a national disaster, so.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the company that was hauling the fuel.
There's gonna be some lawsuits there going on.
And I think it's great to support. I'm in the feelings with you, your worship, is a moral support letter. Like $100, like I could send $100 myself personally up there. $100 from the town of Minto. I don't know what impact that would have on them. I think a letter of support, and like I said, like, where do you draw the line with all the?
I'd rather send a piece of equipment and a person, our employee down.
It's tough.
But I know how tough that is.
You probably wouldn't get across there'd be a lot of stuff going on for that, but. No motion?
I rescind my motion.
Okay. So I think a letter,
Sure.
Bill?
Okay. If I may, Mayor Bridge, we just need a motion to accept the correspondence, and I'll take the letter as direction.
Yeah, most accept.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott, Counselor Hemley, all in favor? Carried. So, reports?
Mayor Bridge, there's two sets of minutes. The first set of minutes, our chair is here if he would like to give a summary, or I can. And then there's an economic development set of minutes and two economic development reports. I know Mandy was going to attend to give those if she got away from the communities and Bloom judges early enough. Now, we can deal with those three items as well, because if you wish, or defer them, but certainly the first item is the Parks and Recreation minutes.
I could
Ron,
deal-
if you wanted to.
Sure, I could deal with that if you wanted.
Mhm.
There's probably a couple of things I wanted to speak to on behalf of that anyway. First of all, we finished our recreation this year. We usually have take the summer off. This year, we decided that we would take June meeting off and host a summer meeting in July 8th. At that time, we invited the Norgan Board to attend. The PRAC Board had their meeting before, and then Norgan had theirs immediately after. And we hosted them, and we had it at the CNR building in Palmerston. And we provided a lunch for them after, so good chance. The good thing about that is the PRAC Board has always been dealing with the Norgan minutes and such like, and it's all brought to us. The two have never been together. This is the first we've ever had them together, so it was a good information gathering thing, and it was good PR for the community groups that come in and helped us, so. Trying to find the minutes here. I got them right here. There it is. Again, we reviewed the Norgan minutes. The Norgan Board is moving along just fine, as per usual. We're actually ahead of of last year. At one time, we were behind, so we're back up ahead. There was a request from B.J. Cochran to cover the diamonds, as we did last year for the Jeff Davies Memorial Tournament that they host each year. And the group was in favor of that. PRAC was in favor of passing that through. Again, speaking with Al Carr has been busy with the Clifford group up in Clifford, trying to get a new diamond set and deal with the park area down there that we're trying to facilitate. All the drainage been done, all the sodding's been done. It's looking pretty nice down there. And then now the group is dealing with the possibility of lights and the dugouts and the fencing behind it. Now, we're paying for the backstop, I believe, and they're gonna try and pay for the fencing and lighting and the wiring coming down. Now, they're investigating how they're gonna raise those funds. So they seem like a pretty solid group, and Al's working strongly with them, and they're moving ahead. And looks like probably next spring they'll be ready to move to
I think they're gonna try
somewhat,
for a
yeah.
Trillium grant as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Mayor Bridge attended that meeting too, yeah, up in Clifford.
Yep, very good meeting.
We also dealt with arena heaters, and there was a letter sent to the fact that we're standing with what we had before, that it was brought forward, and the information, it was a well-written letter by our recreation person, Matt Lubers, and it's all to do with, there's several different reasons why we wouldn't go ahead with it. For one, probably the biggest is the cost. And it didn't make a lot of sense that we heat the arena, and at the same time try to cool it down. So it's counterproductive to what we were thinking. And also, it was also the cost. Now, I was told that we could probably put heaters in for $1,300 a piece, and I did bring that to Mr. Carr, and Mr. Carr said, no, the type of heater that we need would cost $7,000, and $7,000 would only put you in one heater into one arena. And the thoughts are that if we put heaters in, we'd have to put probably 3, because if you put one in and you have 50 people sitting under a heater, where's 51 sitting? So then they'll want heaters, and then, so if you put 3 in, that'd be 21,000 arena, and if you put it in one arena, you better put it in 3. So you're talking $60,000 just to put heaters in, and then there was no way that they could judge the cost of the counterproduction, but it makes sense to me, it makes sense to them that there is a cost to running the heaters and a cost to cool the building down. And it was also said that sometimes the ice isn't near as good when that happens because of the heat from the facility. So there's a letter going out to the people that were concerned. So Councillor Caldwell was probably one of the people that was most interested in and so we're hoping to get that letter to the person that made the most complaint about it. Okay?
Can I ask you, Ron, if everybody, all the council would get that draft letter?
Sure.
For position, because we'll need that, because if we get asked as well, we need to know what the facts are.
And was there any indication in the letter, did they look into which arenas in our locality have heaters and which ones do not?
You know, I can't remember,
That was-
but we did ask them to do that. I think Matt had done that before, so I think he knew of which arenas had them and which arenas didn't. And
So maybe we'll get that
Yeah.
as well for you.
maybe Bill, you,
I don't know that.
okay. He did tell me, Mary Lou, and I did read the letter, but I haven't read it from them. And I may sign it and send it on the behalf of council too.
Okay.
I have a question for Councillor Elliott, hopefully he can answer it. The overdue account, how does that happen?
Well, okay.
Oh,
They,
got it.
they are asked for, when people book an arena, they're asked for a down payment kind of thing or a damage deposit, so that's paid. And then after they use the facility, they are billed and then they come in and pay the bill. Well, this particular person or people, we billed and they never come in and paid it. And now they're having a hard time tracking them down. So it's just like any other business. They bought the service, they didn't pay for the service, so,
Was there a bar involved?
yes. And that's,
Did they get their refund or their portion of the bar?
I don't know, because it was a $2 bar. So with a $2 bar, what happens is they actually end up paying the town. So
Or
it's
not.
like having a free bar. Like
Or
the town does provide, like they call them free bars. And then the person that rents the facility then pays for the cost of the bar, and they keep track of the tickets that go out. And I believe I think it was a $2 bar, is what they said. So, yeah. So that's how that happened. They're thinking that, it would be easy. I think the one we're talking about is around $800, but just in principle alone, they're gonna chase it down and make sure they get the money. So, it was discussed maybe what's the purpose, but once you let one go, then you may run into that. But of all the rentals and stuff, Mr. Carr also said that it's very seldom that they ever run into that problem. And it's usually local, and they usually know the people that are involved, so. And this is out of a couple of communities where they can't hunt them down. But they think they know where they are.
Mayor Bridge, through you to Councillor Elliott. The first part of the minutes talks about the new method of recognizing champions, and I
Oh,
don't
yes.
believe we gave council any information on that. Council will recall we do have the national and provincial champs come here once a year, and I think committee's contemplating something different.
Yes, that was discussed, and they don't have a problem with what we had done in the past and how they recognized, but again, they felt that everyone should be recognized. So it was a motion brought forward that there would be 2 changes, and the changes would be that the groups or individuals would be recognized, and PrAC would recognize who they would be instead of us going out and searching for them. They would bring their information to PrAC if they would need to be recognized, and at that time PrAC would designate an area where they would be recognized instead of constantly having an area. So maybe minor hockey as a group, they would designate that area, and they would be, at that time, they would be given their certificate or whatever was, what we do as a council. The idea was that there's several people around, minors and several groups that don't get recognized that are champions within our community in many ways. So it was an opportunity, and it may not even be that there might be other things other than hockey and ball and soccer and such like that you could recognize somebody from. It might be an individual that became a football star down in Kitchener or whatever, if they went down and played down there or something, in a way of recognizing different people that would be involved within our community. And we was too limited, and we felt that if it came to PrAC, that would take it out of council's chambers, and they would then designate an area and designate a place for that and let council know where that area would be. So it could be like the Clifford Arena, or it could be wherever. At that time, they thought that would be the best way of handling it.
Did we have some discussion? Mary Lou, have you got anything?
No, I see what you're saying, and to the point, I do think that the individuals coming to council really enjoy it. Well, I know they do. Like they look forward to being recognized by council.
Well, council could be a place where they go, or council could go to where they are,
Yes, true.
and that's what they're saying. So if it's a smaller group, then maybe they say you'll go to council at that time, or council could go to their.
So you're talking recognizing all of the athletes in our community.
The ones that want to be recognized. That doesn't make sense to you, Pat.
I'm having,
Because you're gonna recognize people that haven't necessarily won anything, or?
No, they maybe they're champions, and within, what happens is, right now, if you win a provincial championship, you get recognized. If you win a WA championship, you don't. Yeah, that's right. So the bar will change as per what the minor hockey system or the different system or different groups that want to bring forward, and they would recognize them for being champions within their own organization.
Mary Lou, you said all the athletes like
Yeah, it may not be, but we may, yes.
Ron, I was a little confused with it too. My thought was, I know that one of the concerns that was brought up when you brought this originally, and when I put it back to PrAC, was to have an opportunity to recognize other groups that maybe don't win provincial championships.
Right.
Because, as you say, certain sports are a little different. They'll
Right.
never get to a provincial championship or a national
Right.
one, because there's no way. I like this in a way. I just wonder whether we couldn't leave the provincial ones recognized in the council chamber, and to make sure that we do recognize those ones that win the WAs or whatever, and we could do that in their venue, and maybe make sure we get there. Was
See,
there
again,
discussion on that?
Yeah, I think PrAC thought that too, and then they said, no, why would you differentiate? Why does that make them more important than they are? Are they more important?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, would PrAC consider coming up with a firm suggestion and bringing it back to council? Like right now, we're not sure exactly what you have in mind.
Yeah, the PrAC will designate an area, and council would be involved in giving out the awards. That's what
No,
we're
I meant,
suggesting.
On who would be recognized.
would you just write up a little more than what is in the minutes?
Sure, we can try and do that.
And
Yep.
bring it back to council and kind of explain what you have
Yep.
in mind?
We just felt, and as a PrAC, and it was to a person, felt that there was too many people being left out of, and were recognized, and somebody that excels at a top level, that there might be a house league kid that's playing at the top of his level and never had the opportunity to win it or even play at a professional level, and can't get represented and can't get recognized. And it means as much to them as it does to anyone. And mind you, I love it when I watch these guys walk in here and girls walk in here and see their eyes light up. I've been in sports all my life, and I've been involved in seeing people receive awards, and I think it is important, but I also think it's important because a lot of people. Minor Ball had 5 championship teams last year. Not one of them got recognized.
Ron?
Yeah, just, it's the issue that they want to be recognized the same as a provincial or national, or that they just be recognized for the accomplishment? Because if it's,
No, I think it was
I don't
saying,
see a reason
Ron,
why
there-
they
there-
couldn't
there-
come here.
No, there's different different sports clubs that they can only go so far.
That's right,
And they
WA
can't, they can't
county.
even go Ontario, they stay within a couple of counties, right?
Correct.
And they go to the top of their game, and that's their Canadian championship, basically, right? So why wouldn't they get recognized for, achieving what they achieved? Is
Yeah,
that probably one of
absolutely, absolutely.
Mayor Bridge, if it could help, maybe council could receive the minutes and approve the recommendations, subject to a report coming back on how the additional recognition would
To
work?
clarify it,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd like to see a little fuller.
Sure. And I
understand.
think it was all done and
Yeah.
with the intention of what we talked about
Yeah,
tonight.
exactly.
And probably we should have had more.
Yeah.
And that isn't a policy.
Right.
That isn't well enough to be a policy. We will write that out a little more detailed.
All right. Is everybody all right
The
with
idea is,
We as a
at the end of it all, the idea is to recognize those who should be recognized and not necessarily the elite.
Yep. Appreciate the work that you
Yeah.
guys did on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, can we have that's the end of?
No,
Oh,
I
you
got
have a bit more?
one other thing,
Yep.
and I was talking to the mayor about this. Our splash pad in Palmerston hasn't been working, and, and
Hot.
like 40-degree weather, and we don't have a splash pad. Now, I don't think it was working today. Al Carr, at the time, it was only working partially, but at least it was working somewhat. And Al Carr has now left for holidays, and he had told us, informed Prac, that there was a part that he needed to order, and I think the part had to come from Vancouver.
Right.
So, in the meantime, where it seems like it's shut down completely, it's to do with the UV. If we didn't have the UV problem, if we could bypass it, I think we could get it up and working right away. It appears that way. He was talking about a separate pump. So I just want to bring that in form, because, boy, I've had about 8 calls, and they're wondering why it isn't running. Wayne Metzger has said today, I was talking to Wayne and just casually about it, Wayne said to me that he would drop in and have a look at it, because he had some dealings with the pump before, and he said there's a switch or something that may be able to work for him. So,
Well, we'll get working on it. Bill, did you have?
Yeah, just to say, the facilities manager did leave it with one of the lead hands there who was working on this, and we did actually have the supplier come in from quite a distance to look at it, so it is important that we get this proper part working, so.
yeah, even if we can get it running partially and get, so the kids can run through the water, it'd be perfect.
We don't want to bypass the UV as,
I just thought I'd report that, so if you get any calls, well, why isn't
We're
there?
working on it.
That we're trying to get the part here, and if we'll get it here as quick as we can.
Excellent.
Okay?
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to accept? Councilor Hamley, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? And we did make that?
That was with
the, okay, yeah, good. Okay, and Mandy's here, and.
Looks like I don't have to do the summary.
Well, I was looking to you there, buddy. I thought you were gonna be the one.
doing this, but
I
hey,
know, do you?
look at this pretty lady. Rather have her do the intros than me.
Did our judges get properly schooled on the Hairston projects?
Yeah, they're still working around.
Oh, good.
They don't want to leave, do they? They love this community. The best in Canada, the best in Canada, the town of Minto.
They love
Unbelievable.
us.
You guys getting this? You guys writing? The best in Canada, Minto. They don't wanna leave.
Right, right.
Even
Yeah.
with McKinley.
All the police.
All the police.
So, I left them with Gordon. They're in good
Oh, good,
hands.
good.
Yeah. So, just to briefly go over some of the Economic Development and Planning Committee minutes. We had Linda Reeder return at our last committee meeting, and she went over the feasibility incubator for the incubator study. And some of the things that she stressed were the importance of the non-quantifiable assets, which include being located in a visible business district, being surrounded by like businesses, being accessible to local businesses, being located in a prosperous business district, and being central to the entire community. So Reeder explained that from the 20 businesses surveyed, the following advantages were noted, which were business opportunities, business climate, technical expertise, youthful expertise, fiber optic high-speed internet, housing, young family amenities, and future. And 3 of the potential target groups that she discussed were the creative technical industries, creative cultural, and the creative aesthetic. So she's going to be returning to our August 6th meeting, council meeting, and she'll be presenting her report at that time, so I won't go too much more in depth on it because she'll be presenting it then.
And she didn't wanna leave Minto the other day either.
She didn't. No, she loved it.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
She didn't know the people, so she's met in the streets and it's unbelievable. I just want to make sure people know that.
So the Palmerston Downtown Revitalization Committee, a quick update on those. The Norgan Theatre Board has agreed to a $50 charge for a monthly block of advertising during their pre-shows, and advertising will be paid based on a first-come, first-served basis. The Communities in Bloom's judges are here. Right now they're evaluating us, and we've been touring them around all day today. They've really enjoyed their time so far, and we're waiting for a verbal report tomorrow morning on how we did. We'll receive a written report in a couple weeks from them. The Palmerston Merchants Christmas Open House was a success last year, and we're planning on doing that again this year. And Alexandra Cook-Wasberg and Connie Robinson offered to be the coordinators of the living window display, so we're really excited about that. And Bob McEachran has been given permission to put a billboard beside the Chamber of Commerce billboard on County Road 109, so that's also very exciting. The Harriston Downtown Revitalization Committee, Extreme Graphics, provided a quote for the mural on the side of the Service Ontario building, and the committee requested that we go after a few more quotes just to ensure that we're getting the best price, so we're currently doing that right now. Light Up the Park is scheduled to take place on Tuesday, November 12th at 7 p.m., and we're looking into purchasing some lights for that right now. So, Heritage Days is on August 23rd to 25th this year in Harriston, and an advertising campaign has been underway. For $191.16, businesses can get their ads on the radio, so that's something we're promoting, as well as $5 for each bow that they'd like to put on their buildings. And I've got some facade applications, but we'll get those, okay? And the Cultural Roundtable and the CCPF project. So part of the CCPF project is the incubator feasibility study. And we're also in the midst of organizing another storytelling event for Friday, September 27th called Ghosts of Minto's Past. We're planning our culture bus tour, and C&M Seeds, Greenbush Organic, Flowers to Fragrance, and Steckley's have all confirmed their participation. And the movies series has started at the Norgan Theatre again. It started on July 4th, and a new children's movie will be featured the first Thursday of every month. And finally, the next Cultural Roundtable meeting is on July 29th, and it's hosted at Mayor Bridges' house, and he's graciously donating barbecue dinner for us.
What's the date of that?
That's July 29th. Dinner's at 6
You
p.m.
can't make it, don't worry about it.
I was
Oh, I
supposed,
got it written down already.
I was supposed to be out of the country, I made sure of that.
Wow, I'll be here.
And
Bring your friends.
And Mayor Bridge also gave us an update on the County of Wellington business retention and expansion that the town of Minto is participating in. And they're going to be coming, Iana Reichert and Carolyn O'Donnell will be coming to the August 6th council meeting to give a presentation at that point on where we stand. John Mock gave an introduction and a bit more information about the Heritage Days celebration in Hairston as well, and stated that posters and rack cards are available at the moment. And some exciting news, Councillor Ron Faulkner informed the committee that the International Plowing Match is in the final stages of being incorporated, and once that's happened, he'll be able to get the executive team together. He's also been given $300,000 from the plowing match is also
more at your place?
Yeah. The plowing match has also been given $300,000 from the Ontario Plowmen's Association, and that's to be used towards heritage. So, very exciting about that. Hope Robertson reminded the committee that they will be doing the 5th annual Heels for Hospitals in October. So keep your eyes out for that. Mayor Bridge, we'd love to see you in heels again this year.
I could wear Mary Lou's. Yeah, Mary Lou says those shoes still, Mary Lou? They fit me perfect almost.
Oh, it's in that comes.
And Bill White reported on some industrial land sales that are in the process. And John Mock reported on behalf of Harold DeVries about the Viable Youth Business Enterprise. The program provides youth aged 15 to 29 with an experiential learning opportunity in which they create a business idea, research the market, develop marketing and operational plans, launch and run the business for a day, and analyze the results of their business performance and build a plan for next steps. So they've asked for assistance in the form of marketing and recruitment, sales, venues, business and community support, and sponsorship.
Motion approved. Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Faulkner. All in favor? Questions or comments? Jerry?
There's just a comment made here about our new signs, that we're going to do something about the readability. Where does that stand?
So those we've currently spoken to Sean Kelly from Stemsky Kelly, and he's looking at some different options, whether we sticker over top or have to replace the signs themselves. We're looking at the least expensive possibility for fixing them.
So are all the signs in all communities like that, or?
Palmerston and Clifford, Hairston hasn't been completed yet, so it would be those 2 communities. Yeah, so we are looking into possibilities for making those more readable. Hopefully that'll be fixed soon.
I think they'll be happy.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you.
Are you doing the
Thanks.
next one? Is that on now? Are these?
Facade?
Mandy doing these right now? Okay, go ahead.
Perfect.
Facade.
Okay, so the first facade application is for the Wiley Rentals, the Minto Computers building. And just to give a brief background, in 2009, the town of Minto initiated the facade improvement grant program for the downtown areas. Each year, $12,000 in grants are available for commercial properties located in the community improvement areas. A set of facade improvement guidelines were created to ensure the improvements are made appropriate and tie into the overall look of the downtowns. So the facade application is for Wiley Rentals, the Minto Computers building, and the application would fund the replacement of 2 display windows. The Hairston Downtown Revitalization Committee reviewed the application and is in support of the proposal. The facade grant program was topped up for 2013 to $12,000, and this is the 3rd facade application, and it's for $1,998.57. And the recommendation is that the Town of Minto Council receives the July 10th, 2013 report from the Business and Economic Development Coordinator regarding the facade improvement grant application H09 for the amount of $1,998.57 for the property located at 42 Elora Street South, Hairston, Ontario, which is the Minto Computers, and that they approve this grant.
You want to do both of them at the same time? Or just separate? Okay. The mover? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Hemley, all in favor? Carried.
Okay.
Next one, please.
And the second facade application is for Brown Insurance in Palmerston. The comments around this facade application is that it's a well-established business in the downtown of Palmerston. This application truly represents what a facade improvement program is all about. The Browns have taken the time and care to review the guidelines, and what they have proposed is to be completed this summer. The application involves a facelift to the storefront, which includes the following elements: removing the existing paint using a pressure blasting process of powdered glass and water, repointing or repainting the existing brick, and sealing preserved brick or repainting the building, depending on the outcome. So if they clean up really nice, then they're not going to have to paint the brick, they'll just seal it over. If the brick doesn't clean up that nice, then they'll look at painting it.
We saw that today where they were working on it.
Yeah, they're working on it already.
The guy said it's not coming off quite the way we thought it would, so it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens.
It's 100
There's
years
some-
of paint,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
On brick.
Yeah, some beautiful yellow brick underneath.
They can get it there.
Yeah. So the Brown Insurance facade application was received after the Palmerston Downtown Revitalization Committee and the Economic Development and Planning Committee meetings. Therefore, it was circulated via email to the committee members for comment. Both the Palmerston Downtown Revitalization Committee and the Economic Development and Planning Committee were in support of the facade application. The financial considerations are that this is the fourth facade application for 2013, and it would be for the full amount of $3,000.
Mr. Mayor, just for perception, I should declare a conflict on that one.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So the recommendation would be that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the July 10th, 2013 report from the Business and Economic Development Coordinator regarding facade improvement grant application P05 for the amount of $3,000 for the property located at 195 Main Street, Palmerston, Ontario, which is the Brown Insurance Building, and approves this grant.
Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second Councillor Hamley, all in favor, and with one declared in. Declared. Yes.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I just wondered how much is left in facade grant. Maybe could we keep a running total when we present these, that this would leave this much in the budget?
Certainly, yeah, I can add that for the next.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking if this is the fourth, we're probably almost used up.
We're about halfway.
Oh, just halfway?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is it 12,000?
3 years?
12,000 per year is what we've
Yeah.
been given so far, and that's a matching grant, so it's 50% up to a maximum of $3,000.
So some of them haven't been quite as big.
Mhm.
And, you know, through you, where you worked, you even made the comment the other day at, our Economic Development Committee, that just entices these people to, you know, that are kind of sitting on the fence, like, should I, well, I can get this X amount from the council, or from the town of Minto, and I've even had, the people have used it, have said to me, you know, thank you, and I should relay that to the town too, you know, that, it made it possible for these guys to put up, maybe storefront and stuff, and they really appreciate the little bit that we do invest in them, so I think it's a good
Oh, I agree,
program to have
100%.
going, so.
I think, I'm just thinking that, you know, if we'd used up 11 of our 12,
Oh, yeah.
could we look at possibilities of if we're only in June or July? You know what I mean? We might just want to know where we're at.
Right. And if-
As the
It's a
budget
great
is
program
concerned.
for business people.
No, I agree.
Great program.
And it maybe would give them some incentive if somebody's sitting on the fence too, if they know that's getting close to being used up. So
Yeah, yes.
maybe if they've got a project in, they might want to, if they know the amount that's there left. But, yeah, it's a super program, and it was one that we brought up with the judges today, and that certainly, they just love this kind of stuff that we're doing.
They're thrilled with, through you, Mayor Bridge, they're thrilled with the amount of community dedication that we show, and council dedication, staff dedication, and yeah, the facade and signage grant program they were really thrilled with, so
Yeah.
good job.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
We did a motion on that. Did we do a motion on that? Yes. We voted on it, and then we had a question.
All right.
Okay, but you're up on this one.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, I'll present the June building statistics on behalf of the chief building official. 2013 for the month ending June 30th, 16 permits, 837,000 construction value, comparing to 20 permits of 1.3 million in 2012. Had 2 single-family dwellings this year, as opposed to 1 single-family and 1 multiple dwelling last year. So if you look at the chart for year-to-date, second page of the report, we're at $8.3 million worth of construction value compared to 7.12 million last year. Our residential units are slightly up over last year. If you look at the 10-year construction value, we're somewhere in the middle to average. 2006 one, in case someone was to ask, was a $4.4 million addition to TG Minto, so that's why that one jumped way off the scale there. So still a healthy building year. It was still moving along with reasonable progress, and things are going well in the building department.
Questions? Motion to receive.
So moved.
I got Councillor Faulkner and Councillor Hemley, all in favor? Carried. Okay. That's not here for this one. It is, okay.
Maybe Councillor Hembley could help. But Mayor Bridge, the
Councillor Hembley.
active transportation plan report prepared by our Recreation Services Manager. Matt's on holidays today, but I thought I'd present it on his behalf. We did receive a letter from Wellington County. You'll recall back, I believe in November, we did receive a presentation from the county on the active transportation plan, and this council did endorse the plan, although not all county, or not all lower tier municipalities did the same thing. So as a result, I think the county was looking at ways to continue on with implementation, and they sent out the letter that is attached to the report outlining some ideas they have as far as moving forward. These are summarized in Matt's report. The first has to deal with what they consider to be the most controversial part of the plan, and that's paving of shoulders to enhance cycle experience on county roads. And as outlined in the report and the letter, it's kind of tied up in a little bit of bureaucracy, for lack of a better word, as far as what's appropriate as a standard for encouraging people to ride their bikes on highways and county roads and municipal roads for that matter. So as far as implementing that part of the plan, the county's suggesting that is be delayed until there's better rules in place, and I think the Recreation Services Manager is supporting that position and would suggest that you consider doing that before the county as well. The second part of the plan pertained to how it was funded, and if you remember back, they did have a fairly sizable amount allocated to implement the plan. Our share was only $43,000 over 20 years, but some municipalities had quite a large amount. So instead of following that implementation schedule, what they're talking about is looking at a 50% grant process, whereby local communities could apply for up to, I believe, is it $100,000 per year to support trail initiatives, active transportation initiatives in the community. So certainly the Recreation Services Manager was supporting that part of what the county was looking at doing. The final parts of it dealt with the Trans-Canada Trail project, which really is not a huge impact on the town of Minto, and of course the reviewing the plan again in 2018 to see where we are, where the provincial standards are for cycling on the roadways and so forth. There was a Trails Committee meeting held, I think, last week, and some of the members of council were at that meeting. One of the things that is coming back in a big way is trying to complete the Palmerston, Harriston, Clifford Trail loop. And if somehow we could tie into the county plan with that funding program, I think that would help give it the shot in the arm it may need. I think the committee that started seems like a very active group of strong people, and there's one little link left, and we may well be able to get this trail going. So anyway, I think the recommendations that the Recreation Service Managers put forward are appropriate, and if council has any others, we can add them into what's sent.
Comment?
Mayor Bridge, I seem to recall that when they were proposing to redo 89 highway out here from Harriston to Mount Forest, that there was supposed to be a bike lane included in that, simply because that's part of the designation of that cross of national bike trail. And it was 89, I'm pretty sure 89 highway was one of those. I went to a meeting in Fergus on that, and I'm pretty sure that was identified at that time. But I see it's not.
They're not putting the bike lane in, I can't.
No.
That's they're coming back for a fifth time to
Yeah.
pave. Like, one more, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mayor Bridge, through to Councillor Faulkner, in fact, Councillor Hemley did raise that.
Yep.
We had our people get in touch with the project managers asking where the bike lane was, and we're told quite clearly that they were not putting one in. I think they plan on leaving a half a meter, which is
Yeah.
not very much to
What
ride
part
the
of
bike
no
lane.
did we not understand?
And on that note, though, I'd like to thank yourself, Bill, and Matt, and the people that did make the phone calls. The county was very supportive of it, I know we were. Just unfortunately, there was another level that wasn't very supportive of it, or it's not their,
Sandy.
mandate, I guess, if that's the word you wanna use, unfortunately. But it would've been nice, like, we actually were really pushing to have it at least from the town office into
Yep.
Harriston.
Yep.
It would've been ideal for our community anyways, but like you said, it was, noted to go to Mount Forest. But thanks for the people that did put the time in to try to get that done.
Mayor Bridge, if council's happy with the general comments, then we just need a motion to accept the recommendation.
Motion? Counselor Elliott? Counselor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. On to the proposed policy for the disposal of surplus equipment. We have some things that have been piling up a little bit. We have an opportunity we'd like to dispose of some of it. We want to make sure that however we do it, it's fair and transparent, and we get an appropriate return if there is some value left in the equipment. I've outlined about 5 or 6 points that are in the policy. First of all, we're going to make sure no one else in the town needs that equipment. And second of all, when we do buy vehicles, and heavy equipment in particular, we're generally going to price it with the trade-in included, although the department head, when we're coming to you at budget for those, will ask if they plan on doing a sealed bid or auction of a particular piece, they'll ask for that direction and can do that. We had good success doing that with one of our fire trucks before, and so if we're not getting a trade-in, we can do a sealed bid with your direction on that. We want to make sure our electronic equipment is cleaned before it's sold, in case there's any information that shouldn't be on those, it gets out there. We're going to keep a list, and then when we do have a surplus, enough surplus equipment, we'll advertise it and post it so that there's lots of opportunity for people to participate. We'll take closed bids and then open them up. People who are the highest bidder, if there's value there, then they would have to come in and pay for their item within 7 days. There's no warranties, obviously, on any of the products that are sold in this fashion, and we have to make sure we remove it from our asset inventory. These things are important these days when we're doing asset management plans. And of course, if we still can't get rid of them, then we have to scrap them appropriately, however that is to occur. It does mention that council and staff have the same right to submit bids. Often what happens is you have someone who's used a piece of equipment saying, well, sure, if we don't need it anymore, I'd like to have it. We felt like the best way to do that would be just to let them bid like anyone else. They wouldn't have any
Sure,
more
makes
information
sense.
than anyone else, but they should have that opportunity to do that just like any other citizen would. One thing that's not addressed in the policy is where the money goes that we did receive it. And it should be directly into the reserve area that makes the sale. So if it was a public works vehicle that's sold, then they would keep that money. So probably should add that to the policy with your recommendation. So our recommendation is to approve the policy as drafted. It would be subject to that one change. Certainly open to any kind of discussion. And any thoughts on what we may have missed? Probably you'll see that we'll complete our inventory here over the summer, and maybe when people get back from holidays and things settle down a little bit before the snow flies, we will do a surplus sale.
Counselor Elliott?
You, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering about length of time for your advertising. Would you do it a week before? Would you do it 3 weeks before? Would you do 3 weeks of advertising, 1 week of advertising, or what was your plan?
Really doesn't say. I certainly would do the two major papers at least a month before and make sure it was on our website as well. But we can do more advertising.
Doesn't matter, just wonder whether, is there some legality that we have to do a certain amount of time, or
No, there isn't any
nothing
legal
20
thing
days before? or
that I'm
anything?
aware of. No statutory requirement.
So probably be a good thing to put in your policy of how far back you're going to, or whatever, so you have that in there. If we don't have any legalities, then if all of a sudden we forgot and did it the day before.
Counselor Caldwell.
I don't know if I read this. Is there going to be a time for people to come out and look at the equipment? What is this?
Yep.
What we thought, we'd make sure we had decent pictures of it all, and that would go on the website. But just so that we're not running around and having people come to the shop 5 times a day or whatever, we have one day where it's set up and they can come and look at it, and then maybe that would be the day they could drop their bids off or whatever. But we just don't want a lot of, we're not a retail store, so we have to kind of play it a little, it'd be a little less convenient in that way.
Any other discussion? Motion to receive, Deputy Mayor Fisk, Counselor Faulkner, all in favor? Carried.
So that would be with the changes noted and
Yep.
with a date, 30 days at least prior for advertising. Mayor Bridge, road closures for Heritage Days. The event is August 23rd, 24th, and 25th, as we heard from our Economic Development Coordinator. There is a list of events going on in downtown Harrison attached to your report. We've been asked by the Heritage Group to close Lower Street South from Mill Street to Arthur between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's a little longer than the last time it was closed, but there's a lot going on downtown then. We make sure that signs are posted outside the community so truckers and others know that they should detour if they're in a big rush, so they should detour the area. We have informed the emergency services, and we have received the certificate of liability insurance as required by the county. This is an interesting group. It's kind of an agglomeration of people, so certainly we're covered as a municipality, and I think some of them are also looking at their own insurance requirements here as well. So they'll have to make sure that they have, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce is suitably covered and that sort of thing. So we're recommending that we consider the bylaw, that you consider the bylaw to close the road on the 24th, and that bylaw is in your package for consideration.
Questions, comments? Counselor Elliott.
Will these people be considered volunteers that they would be covered under our insurance? Every one of them that's involved in this?
Generally, yes, but if something were to happen, individuals and groups could be named separately, and they may not have all the coverage that they might think. So I have been speaking to Randy Ritz, and he is part of the organization team, and he is conveying that out to the people who are involved.
Okay.
But this is not a town-sanctioned event, so they are not.
So it won't be necessarily a volunteer group that would be operating on behalf of the town, to be
That's right.
operating on behalf of the event?
That's right.
All right.
If something were to happen as a result of the road closure, there would be some protection there, but
Okay.
Anything else? Motion to accept? Sure. Counselor Faulkner, Counselor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. And I think Brian's up.
not yet.
No, not yet, Brian, sorry.
Mayor Bridge, integrated accessibility, this is the, there's a couple of things here on that. We had a letter from Wellington County regarding accessibility standards. This is something that previous councils have chosen not to adopt, and that is the county's integrated accessibility standards regulation and their design manual. So we've been through that manual in a preliminary way. It's 106 pages long, and it is quite detailed. It was developed by the City of Guelph and the school board and the Homewood Health Center. It is definitely something for larger municipalities, there's no doubt about that. But it does read that it is a guideline for facilities and not a requirement. So we're recommending that we consider adopting it now. You can see that the county will fund up to $10,000 a year for accessibility projects. So, for example, if we want to put an accessible washroom in any one of our facilities, and we're complying with this regulation, then we would be eligible for those kinds of grants. One of the reasons that we didn't adopt it before was we didn't know what the built standard would look like that came from the province. And I should say to you that it's likely that the county standard will exceed the built standard in some ways. So if you follow the county standard, there could be a time where that turns out to be more expensive, for lack of a better word. That doesn't mean you have to follow the county standard. What you will have to do is meet the provincial standard. But you should use it as a guideline. And I think if you do that, if you adopt this now, I think it starts to give this legislation and the need for accessibility a little bit more of a profile that we haven't really been able to maintain here over the last few years. So with that concern addressed, that we can consider the standard and it is a guideline. And it also mentions there that the CBO doesn't have to check the standard when he's issuing building permits. That's not part of it. Then I think as a group we're comfortable in recommending you adopt this manual. And we can bring back information over time on exactly what's in it. One of the things that is in it is sidewalk standards, and I did copy that section out for the Public Works Director, and he actually can tell you all about how he's already meeting or exceeding it. So.
Yeah, it's just all the standards that they're required, besides the slope of the sidewalk, we've already done that, and it's already in place, and that started last year. So for the blind, we put the markings on the edge of the sidewalk as they're coming down the road to notify them that they are stepping onto a roadway. The width is standard, and like I said, the slope of these sides, we might not be able to meet that.
Right.
But we're doing the best we can with what we have, grade-wise.
Try to meet them.
Yep.
Mayor Bridge, some of the council and others were hearing complaints that we were widening the sidewalks, and that's why. That's what the new standard requires. They should be at least 1.5 meters wide or 5 feet. And some of ours, a lot of ours were 4 feet, so.
That was
More.
also- Just to add to that too, I have some complaints about our sidewalk plow, that's bigger than our old sidewalks. So I explained to the people that the sidewalks really getting bigger, and we can't buy smaller plows for the sidewalks. So.
Yeah, a lot of them are like 3 feet. Yeah. Our sidewalks, so it doesn't even come close to the blade width.
Yeah. Just, I'm not sure I feel comfortable putting a stamp on something that I don't know what's included in the manual. That doesn't mean, please don't take that as a mistrust or anything like that, but it's council that's going to put the stamp on it. And I'm just wondering if we should, is that manual here for us to have a look at?
If I may, it was 106 pages, and it's really hard to read, but I can show it to any councillor who would like to see it.
Yeah.
It's got
Okay.
numerous diagrams and drawings of washrooms. It applies to libraries, cafeterias, churches, businesses, meeting rooms, dressing rooms. It's quite a comprehensive body of work. Someone spent a lot of time on it and a lot of thought. So
Is that gonna mean that we're going to have to look at our arena dressing rooms and,
Only if you're doing something new, go by the new renovations
Yeah.
only.
okay.
And where I guess to mention, answer that a little bit, Councilor Faulkner, our Terry has been very thorough and he knows that one pretty well backwards, doesn't he, Bill? And at one time he was a little concerned about it because it is now a guideline, and he's actually worked with a couple county projects. And there's been situations in the county projects where they couldn't quite meet the standards that they even set because of just the building wouldn't work or whatever. So as long as they met the building code, they ended up doing it without quite getting to the total standard. So they're a guide, And that's why I'm feeling a little less concerned.
However, a civil liability suit,
Well,
won't
but-
take that
But
into consideration.
unfortunately, but what, according to Terry, what would take place is the Ontario Building Code would be the only thing you have to go by, eventually. Like, that is it, and I mean, we, because these standards are higher than that, you don't, you wouldn't get into a civil suit because you have a standard that's higher than what the province standard is.
Oh, that's not true.
Well, that's what I thought was the way it was.
Yeah.
Just to add on, there's not a rush to doing this.
No.
If you would like me to bring back more information, do a presentation on what's in the standard, we can do that. We did receive the letter, and we have taken the time to go, I have taken the time to go through the standard, and I don't believe there's anything in there, given the wording that it's a guideline only, that if you got into something and it just wasn't financially feasible or practical to do something, then you're not obligated to do it. So long as the mayor says it complies with the building code. So now there will be provincial standards that are, and as mentioned in the letter, that doesn't come till 2016 for all of these built environment standards. At that time, you will have to comply with that regulation. I think this guideline is a really good first step to get us into the ballgame where we really haven't been in it.
We actually have a project in mind that we would go for the $10,000 as well, but if we don't belong to the program, we can't apply for the $10,000.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you want to delay it, I guess to the August meeting, I'd like to get it done by the August meeting because they want to go at this, so maybe, Ron, if you
No,
don't
if
feel
you
comfortable-
guys are satisfied, like.
No, but I mean, if you need time to review the document, I'm comfortable, but that's because I made.
I just worry about adopting something that's above a certain, or that's at a standard, okay? And if we don't do that, and somebody gets hurt or killed, and that we will be held accountable for that standard, in my opinion.
But we'd be held accountable if we didn't move to that standard. If we didn't accept that standard, then we'd be held accountable for not agreeing to it. In the opposite end of it.
Can I just ask if everything is
Sorry.
grandfathered? It is, so it's not like at any point in time we have to redo all our sidewalks to make them 5 feet.
Just
It's
when you
every
redo them.
replaced
Just when you redo them.
sidewalk.
Yeah, that I
And
understand.
is that the idea with everything?
Yes.
When we, for instance, we have a program coming forward to redo the washrooms or do washrooms at the Rotary Club. We'll look at accessibility there. We'll compare the standard that they do with the standard that is in this, and we'll have to try and comply with it. If it doesn't, we'll tell you that it doesn't comply and why, and it may be just because it's just not practical to do it in that particular instance. And the guideline specifically says that if it's not practical or possible, you don't have to comply with it. It is a guideline, but I think it sort of gives us more of a profile that, like I said, it gets us into a ballgame we really
You feel
haven't
you-
been playing in.
You feel you need a legal opinion on this, Ron? Because I guess your concern is we're gonna be sued.
Well, no, I'm not concerned we're gonna be sued.
If I may, it's comparable to our minimum maintenance standards that we are in place now. We could set our level of service lower than what the minimum maintenance standard is. As long as we follow that guideline, then everything's okay. They just set it up here, we can bring it down a bit, to meet our regular,
Okay.
okay, so it's comparable to that.
And if I look at it and then I still have concerns, I can bring those forward
Sure.
later. It's not, so I'm not gonna, if you need a motion for that, I'll make a motion for that.
Moved by Ron, second by Lou, all in favor? Opposed?
As a favor.
No, I don't think there's an opposed.
Why
No
was
opposed?
there, were you opposed? Put your hand up and opposed.
I was a bit late, yeah,
But
I'm a bit
Late.
slow.
Just a little late, okay, sorry.
We're in the
I'm
middle.
multitasking over here, I'm sorry.
I always have, allow a delay for some people.
Call the cops.
Okay,
Mayor Bridge, my last report tonight is regarding the 2014 insurance renewal. Our policy is not due until March. Traditionally, Cowan has come forward early in the new year with the renewal proposal for you. When that happened before, so there was some discussion about whether we should go out for proposals or not, and you directed that if we're going to do it, then you needed to think about that in the summer. So I brought that report forward for you for information. You're not obligated under the purchasing bylaw to go out for quotes if you choose not to do that. You'll recall back in October, we did have some discussion with a local broker about access to brokerage services, and we agreed that brokerage services would be kept with our general insurance, and that if we did go out to quotes, it would be for that jointly. And so that's what, if we do go out to proposals, that's how I would recommend that you do it. I've given some information on the other 3 providers that I know of. I made a few phone calls to the Wellington County municipalities that have gone out to proposals lately, and some of the comments are in that report. They saved anywhere between $69,000 and $80,000. I do qualify there, though, that it really depends on your claims history and what's going on in the municipality.
Yes.
No guarantee you're going to save money, but you could well save money, and there seems to be enough options out there that you should get fair market consideration if you did choose to go out. Cowan's, this is no reflection on Cowan's whatsoever. We've had them since amalgamation. They're a great company. They've provided excellent service. Randy Ritz has been their local broker. That may well change as his business changes, but it's really up to council how you wish to proceed here. The only other thing I would add is in 2 of the communities I talked to, North Bay and I think it was Guelph Aaron-Mosa, both of them had an independent consultant help them finalize their RFP and help them review it. Insurance can be complicated and it might not be a bad idea. I have 2 contact people I can get involved with that can give me a quote on how much that would cost. But this is a sizable annual cost, over almost $250,000 a year for the town. So we're going out to quotes. We want to make sure we're comparing things fairly and you're getting accurate information to help you make a decision. So in the recommendation, it really is asking for your direction. I haven't stated one way or the other, and be pleased to do it, to put it out for RFP if that's the way you wish to go.
Councillor Caldwell.
I just want to make a comment that I was involved in a fairly large company that did this. And staff time, as long as you're prepared for the staff time involved in putting together the information they need to quote, it's not quite as easy as here's our old policy, now rewrite it to the new one. There is a fair bit of staff time involved in quoting, just so you know that.
Councillor
We can see in dollars and cents that they did save money in some of those quotes, but be careful of what you save. Sometimes some of these companies are reciprocals, and by being a reciprocal, that they all the money goes into a pot, a huge pot, and as major things happen and liability suits come in and insurance payoffs and such like, if that pot's gone, then you will pay. You will put back in to build that pot back up to the reciprocal. It's like you're a partner with all your other reciprocal members.
Yeah.
And so that $60,000 or $70,000 might not mean anything if you're into $120,000, $130,000 to build that pot back up again. And I know of, over my years as a councillor member, I know of several communities that got caught paying over years, and they had to continually pay it, and they changed their insurance company to get away from the reciprocal, and they had to continue paying that reciprocal back on top of paying their insurance to build that pot back up because they were committed to it the first time. So that's how a reciprocal works, and there are different faults, and also when you're dealing with insurance companies, as we said, we had our local broker involved, some that we can go to. if we got a question right off the bat, or somebody that knows our community and knows what our insurance needs are, a lot of the brokers and such like you be dealing with would be out of Toronto, or out of where their business is located. And they don't know our community as well as our local people do, and what our needs would be if we're, and maybe not support us as well as what we could. So you gotta be careful too of the service that they might provide. So those are thoughts that we should maybe have before we make a snap decision on where we're going with such like. And maybe instead of deciding whether we should go ahead and put it up for tender, that maybe we have an independent person come in and speak to us, or at least give us some advice on the different insurance programs, and what each company has to offer. Maybe that would be a better route to go before we start moving. Instead of bringing somebody in to bring up a quote that might cost us $50,000 to save $60,000.
Well,
Is
I
that a
think, Bill,
possibility?
you were mentioning that you have a couple people, but you were gonna get an idea from them what the cost was to research, make sure, if we went for an RFP, that we had the proper thing.
I think we need advice to, Mr. Bear, if I could. I think we need advice on what the insurance coverages are, and what type of businesses and what type of insurance we'd be asking for.
Well, I think that would be part of that process. Am I right? Is that what you're talking about?
I thought he was talking about setting up a quote program.
If I may, I have the RFP from Guelph Mimosa and the North Bay RFP. Both of them use different individuals to give them advice on the very things you're talking about. So I don't have a price on what that individual would cost, but if it was 50,000, I think I would want to temper the amount of advice we got from that person. But I think we can get a pretty good RFP. I would like that person to perhaps come to council and present the RFP to you, to show you what would be involved for the very reason you're saying. And then help us review the submissions that come in to make sure that
It'd be
we're
comparable.
getting the coverage that we want and have and need.
That's right.
And
I would hate to, I'm sorry, I shouldn't interrupt you.
and then also to perhaps help us get some of the information Councillor Caldwell was talking about, if we need help getting information out, if it's calling on too much staff time. But I would, you know, if council would feel better knowing how much that person might cost, then I can certainly get that.
The only thing I'm afraid of is like we talked many times, we have people doing the job for us, that we've decided not to do that in the past. And we pay more money to save a little less.
Well,
You save $69,000, you might pay $50,000 to save that money.
well, I guess I would say, Ron, as far as reciprocal companies, I would be not in favor of going with one of
Right.
those either. I've
Absolutely.
researched that enough that I don't think
Me
you can
too.
take that risk. There's a couple other companies that are out there. Again, I think, you know, our current provider's done an excellent job, but it's pretty hard too not to look at it and at least review it. And if it doesn't cost us a fortune to review it, I'd all be in
Fine.
favor of reviewing it.
Yep.
But with that idea in mind, that you want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, and you get a good comparison.
That's right. That's right.
But, and maybe because our broker is changing right now, this is an opportunity. Plus, I see Gord has arrived. Part of it is we are doing, Mary Lou had a question earlier, Gord, maybe you can answer this. Staff time, if we went out to do an RFP on insurance. Yes, if you could come up, because I think between you and Bill, I'm sure you've had some experience. That'd be all right, Mary Lou?
Yeah, certainly. I was
Sure.
just saying that I went through
That's-
this once before.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of staff time getting the information ready for these
Yes.
insurance companies to quote.
That's a very good question. Let's see, Rick might remember, when we changed from Aqua to ourselves in Central Wellington, and even before that, we took over the insurance. So we had to provide a lot of information to our existing broker just on the sewer plants, and that was like a relatively minor change. So yes, there will be, I'm sure they will ask for a list of assets and, you know, claims history and that kind of thing. So, and I know it was like when we did an audit tender. I remember they did a lot of personal visits. Now, it'll depend on the insurance company, because often you'll see they have a division that does a review of buildings, and as you know, we have a lot of buildings. So they will probably send somebody up just to see what kind of condition our buildings are in, what kind of condition our fleet's in. So I can't answer how many hours, but I'm sure there will be some.
So we take
staff
that into
time.
consideration.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Any other comments?
Just to say, if I may, Mayor Bridge, I wouldn't expect that it was just a paper, send out the RFP, receive quotes. They're probably gonna have to come up. There'll be meetings to go through buildings if they're interested. That's why I think we would, you know, we would wanna have someone who could help us through that process. But I don't wanna, you know, we wanna be cognizant of what we're spending to get that advice.
That's right. Yeah, I think that we have to weigh that.
Yeah, give us some numbers and.
Yeah. So this recommendation only asks you for direction to go forward.
Yeah, if it's council's direction that I bring some figures back on how it might,
What the cost would be.
cost to go through the process, then I can do
Yep.
that.
Okay. Yep. Mover? Councilor Hamley, Councilor Elliott, all in favor? Sorry, Terry, I keep forgetting.
It's okay.
Behind me there. I think I moved a little further tonight or something.
No problem.
Quiet?
I think we were finished with these guys.
No, they're back. Started like a bad pen.
He's supposed to be homesick.
I'm feeling better.
Yeah, you're perking up.
And one.
You hang around with the right people, really,
Yeah.
better.
Pardon.
Awesome.
Glad you're coughing in my direction.
I guess I can't turn it over to Councilor Turton because he's not here. So I guess we'll run with it.
He's with us in our hearts, though.
Yeah, he is. So do you want to get us going on the third line? Unfortunately, the good news and the bad news is, I guess the good news is the guy that's doing our inspections is pretty good because he picked up one right away, right? That's the bad news.
Council has the
I'm
map. if I
confused.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
confused.
Okay. This report, like Mayor Bridge said, is not all good news, but council will recall the town recently awarded bridge and culvert inspections to Triton Engineering and their consultant Burgess Engineering. They begun their work on the bridge inspections, and they have identified a significant issue with the third line bridge structure 110 by County Road 5, or White's Road. This culvert was scheduled to be replaced in 1 to 5 year based on the last 2011 bridge needs study. Burgess Engineer indicated sufficient concern July 10th to Mike McIsaac, my road foreman, of the condition of the structure, which has deteriorated significantly over the last 2 years. The steel structure now has a horizontal break 3/4 of the way along the whole structure, and there was an attempt to shore up this culvert some years ago, and more may be needed in the short term. We know that this culvert was constructed in 1969. We're not sure when the attempt to shore it up was. We couldn't find any record of that. So, due to the heavy truck use of going over the structure, we have got a hold of Cox Gravel Pit and asked that they run empty over the structure, and if they're loaded, to find a different route.
Yeah.
A bylaw.
What about, I hate to bring it up, but C&M Seeds,
On the fifth line.
they're on the 5th, right? Isn't this on the 5th?
The third.
No, it's third.
Oh, Wellington Road 5.
Yeah, County Road 5, yeah. Okay? A bylaw is required to formally place the bridge under half loads. We're currently looking at a few solutions to temporarily fix this structure or totally replace it. Rerouting the municipal drain and eliminating this structure entirely is one of our fixes. A total replacement, and the third one would be a temporary shoring again of the structure. A report will come back to council for direction on what action may be needed right away. And if you have a look on your drawing, you can see the structure is the 80, give or take 85-foot culvert going across the Third. There is a county concrete bridge structure on County Road 5, south of the Third line, and that's a 50-foot structure. I know CO Bill White and Mike McIsaac met on site, and with Greg Danskeville, and they thought about even rerouting this creek up
This
and
this
going
will drain,
diagonal.
right?
Yeah,
Let's not call it creek.
okay.
You know, the
Municipal drain.
ministry on us.
Yeah.
Yellow belly.
Putting a 125-foot structure possibly diagonal across that intersection and rerouting it. And I know CEO White, maybe he wanted to touch base on talking, sending an email to the county engineer on it.
Mayor Bridge, just to report back on that, I did actually receive a phone call this afternoon.
Oh, good.
And Mr. O was interested in speaking to his consultant who did his bridge analysis and to talk to his people about whether this is a good practical solution for them. He didn't have any signs of problems with that bridge, their bridge, about 4 years ago, but he wanted to see the most recent report and talk to his people, and if this is a reasonable solution, then he's willing to at least go down the road a little bit further with us rather quickly. Part of the reason is a lot of the, if you look at the southwest corner there, if you were to stop by, that's right where the rail bridge square, so it's really low in there, there's no guide rails, a lot of the retaining wall structures are partly on county road, partly on our property. So if we get into, I'm sure the cost of 200,000 is likely mostly that retaining wall stuff,
Exactly.
which is on their property anyway. So I think we're hopefully going to be able to work together to find something. But from our case, I think we have to find something real quick. But because I give Mike and Brian a lot of credit for bringing this forward right away, because we don't want something catastrophic to happen there. And so we're addressing it with the half loads, and we're trying to find a quick solution here. And we hope we don't get too many more of these as we go through our analysis.
Yeah, the inspections, I think, are done now, and we're just waiting for the final report to find out what the rest of the bridges and culverts are like. But this is one, and Mike can back it up, and he wanted to close this section because it was that bad. So,
Well, I guess it was on the 1 to 5 to do, so that was in 2011.
yeah.
Three. So I guess it maybe made it as long as it could. So, yeah, it'd be great if we work with the county and do that, because that would clean that whole thing up a lot better. And then you could fill that whole area in where the bridge is and all that stuff. That could be filled in and make it a safety issue, would go away there, because it's not a real good spot.
Now, it's our recommendation that regarding the load restriction on the
Yeah.
Third Line Bridge, and that council consider a bylaw in regular session to post a maximum 5-ton load restriction for it.
And I realize you've already put the signs up, but we'll,
Yes, we
yeah.
did, yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask, is that enough? This sounds quite severe. I mean, is a half-load restriction enough?
If I may, we posted the half-load signs right now, and we're actually requesting a maximum 5-ton load limit.
Right.
Right.
In place of that.
In place of that right
In
now.
place
Because we had a
of
half
that.
ton, that's right, you have half load, but we want to go down to
Down
5.
that, yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah, which is even lower, right? And then you already, the one big problem we know we have, Mary Lou, is the gravel trucks, and we've already talked to them personally and told them. So have you sent them a letter or anything? I would suggest a nice letter, because if one of them actually does go with a full load across there and crashes, then at least we have that on file that they were told. And that might be wise.
Mayor Bridge, just to answer the question, is that enough? The engineer who gives us the advice did not say we had to close it.
No.
So if he did, then we would have to. So this was felt like the best course of action we could take under the circumstances.
On such short notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just may have to fix it faster.
Okay, any other?
But we can wait until the county gets back to
Yeah,
us
yeah.
on whether they're gonna go
Yeah,
with
but
that.
we've done all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Your people's gonna get those people.
Motion to see Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councilor Faulkner, all in favor? Carried. Guys, and you have one more mic there? You have,
I got a couple more here.
oh, two more. Oh, you're
Yeah.
busy. Jeez, that's right.
Well, we're gonna get starting, to look at winter season once again.
Doesn't
This
seem
next-
like it
Yeah.
today, does it?
A little chilly.
Yeah. This next report is requesting, more part-time seasonal staff. The town of Minto, we've always, done our winter maintenance with our own full-time water, sewer operators and equipment operators from the Public Works Department, alongside with, two part-time seasonal, which have been, retirees from the town. With Minto going forward with taking over the wastewater plants, the water sewer, or the water operators need to have 1,800 hours in order to get their licenses in that area. So we're gonna come into a situation where we're gonna be trying to juggle too much with them not getting enough hours. Over the last year and a half, 3 of the operators have been able to accumulate only 200 hours towards their licenses. And we're already,
Oh, wow.
yeah, we're already halfway through 2013 right now. During a major winter event, we have 13 units which need to be deployed, and we have 5 full-time operators, the 1 lead hand, and myself, along with 2 part-time seasonal staff members. And that leaves us short 4 operators to fill those 13 units right there. Current staff, whenever they're scheduled, they're only guaranteed 1 weekend off every 5 weeks. So there's a lot of strain on them as well. There will be the opportunity over this winter season to use some of the water operators on an as-needed basis, but it's gonna be a juggling act still going forward. And also with the minimum maintenance standards, in January 25th of this year, the new minimum maintenance standards came into effect, actually extending our winter season another 2 months. So that cuts back on even more time to get some staff training that they need. Is there any questions?
By what time frame do they have to have the 1,800 hours in?
I believe they can help out with the full-time operator after 900 hours.
Okay,
But
but how soon do they have to have that? When are we gonna take back control?
We're taking back the end of next year. So I have one gentleman in there full-time now, which is Mark,
Yes,
and he's got about another month to go, and he'll have his level 1
he'll have his 1,800 hours
on level 1.
on level 1, yeah.
That's right. So now he's got to get his level 2.
Yeah,
So we're working on that as we're going through. And then we picked up or another full-time gentleman that took his spot, and he's going through for his tickets now. So that's gonna be another 1,800 hours for him to get started. And a couple of the other guys, like Mike was saying, over the last 3 years before I even was here, they got 200 hours towards their wastewater. But they got a long ways, they got another 16 hours to go. And it has to be hands-on.
right, no, I understand
hands-on
that.
time, so.
I just wasn't sure of the time frame.
Yeah.
So we got about another 18 months, so 100 hours a month per person.
Per person.
Okay.
It'll never work out that way.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, can you just explain the logistics of it? So you're requesting 6 part-time staff,
Yes.
and would those part-time staff be seasonal employees? that they're guaranteed 40 hours a week, or they're on call when there's snow? How is it work?
We're requesting right now, I believe it's from October 15th, if I remember correctly,
November 15th.
until March 31st, for them to be on-call seasonal. It's the same as our current two part-time seasonal
So it is the
staff.
same,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Just we
Yeah.
need more
So
bodies.
if there isn't any snow, they won't be
They
working?
won't be working.
That's right.
But you're still gonna have to have a 75-hour standby.
$75.
Yeah,
Yes.
a week standby.
So
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Fisk and then Ron. Sorry.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, do we advertise this job, or do you have people in mind, or do we have people qualified, or what do we, how are we
We're
doing?
gonna have to advertise, whether we get six, it's pretty hard to get part-time seasonal staff, that's the problem. But, yeah, we'll be advertising.
Ron?
In fact, I think this is a no-brainer. We hire part-time staff to save money. Why wouldn't we? That does make sense not to, so it's gonna be less money for us to have more people and take the relief from some of the people that work overtime, even though the money's nice to them.
Yeah.
It wears them out.
Well, as you can see, I think we had
38,000.
38,000 we spent in
Almost.
overtime. Mine is we had a bad winter, but
Yeah.
$37,230 in overtime this past winter season.
But even with those 6 employees, when we have a good winter, that we won't be using them.
No, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
I'd just like to compliment you guys on the report. It's well done. I understand the need, and again, this is something we're working towards with our water and sewer people who, this council, I believe, is dedicated to the fact that we want to take that back, and I know quite a few local councils are looking that route. But I think the public has to be aware it takes time. I mean, you just can't find these people, you gotta grow them. And, I think it's,
Juggling act.
yeah, I think this is an excellent, way we can get there, and I don't see any real issues. Anybody else, or? Okay. Motion to, Mary Lou and Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Carried.
Mayor Bridge, if I just wanted to make it clear that they're only seasonal staff, so our maximum risk is $10,000.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah, no, it's well, I thought it was well later.
Okay, for the next one, it's the Clark Street reconstruction. This report is a continuation of the Allen Street and Clark Street reconstruction for the water and sewer, which happened last year. We received 4 tenders, July the 11th, and you can see there the prices which had come in, and there's an attached letter from the consulting engineer with the with his recommendation in there as well.
Reeves Construction.
Yeah, Reeves Construction is was the lowest bidder for this project. Is there any questions with that one?
Just one, and
Yep.
is the overages may be covered from the $20,000 cost savings in Eaton Road? Wasn't it a $200,000 cost savings in Eaton Road?
Yeah.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, just it was a little, that's what I figured, so I wrote it on, okay, that's, okay,
And I'm gonna have the same question, I think he's gonna answer it.
okay. Gord? I know, do we have any of that left? That's why, but it was down to 20, I thought maybe that's what it was, the net figure.
I think the finance.
Just to keep in mind, we're talking the tax dollars.
Right.
So yes, we had a great savings on that, and we're real happy about it. But we were gonna cover that by federal gas tax, so we're gonna repurpose that to another one. So what we're referring to here is the 20,000 of tax money that we intend on
Oh,
the
okay,
capital
so it
budget.
was 20,000.
It's 20, even though we did save 200.
Okay,
there.
all
So
right, well,
that's where
thanks
the
for
20
that, Gord,
comes
'cause I was wondering, because I think Deputy Mayor Fisk just commented here.
I knew that.
Say we've been spending that 200 a lot. How much time can we spend it? We've allocated that a couple times.
Gord. Gord? Could you turn the air down just a touch, please?
I'm hot, I'm tired. You
You
gotta,
got air blowing right here.
Thank God.
okay,
You that has to turn the air down.
I'm sorry, any other questions? Nothing more,
I
Fitz?
just have a question, I guess. Most times when we've been dealing with tenders,
There it is.
the tenders have been lower than what we have budgeted. This one is the opposite. What, any explanation for that?
There is an explanation for that. There's roughly $10,000 which was taken off of last year's contract for the top coat on Clark Street for this year.
Okay.
And we've taken that off until this project has been completed, as well as we've also added some necessary storm work to the project too. There's a couple of catch basins. There's quite a long, lengthy span of roadway where there is no inlet catch basins for the surface water. So we've added that to the contract as well. And there's also a $5,000 contingency which is in this contract as well.
And I think the storm work is around $12,000.
Yep.
So that added 12,000 to what you originally budgeted for the job?
Correct,
Yes.
yes.
So it should have been maybe 112 would have been the original
Yeah.
budget,
Which
if you
is
would have
pretty
put
well
that in
right
there.
on.
You would have put it on top, okay.
Yeah.
We just don't wanna pave it and then,
No, of course.
Have
so
these
that's
issues, yeah.
just,
Yeah,
so
good,
we've
good.
gotta nip it in the bud while we can.
Mhm.
Good, thank you.
Anything else? Motion to accept. Counselor Faulkner, Counselor Elliott, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Turn it over to Mary Lou.
Who's doing sidewalks,
And, finance only has one item on the agenda.
You got my,
and
email
that
about
is
the one on
approval
King
of
Street by
accounts.
the railway station?
And I'll ask Treasurer
Oh,
Duff
that's all
to
right then.
sign some of the larger amounts.
Great.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Caldwell. Yes, just a brief finance update this time, just to go over some of the higher ones there. In economic development, our big expense is plants for our downtown planners, and you can see they're out looking great for about $15,000. Fire equipment, we've had another progress payment on the fire hall at $116,700. And the annual safety gear that our chief buys every year for a little over $16,000. In Public Works, they use the aforementioned Ayton Road paving for $240,000 there, and some weed spraying of $9,200. And that in the wastewaters, the sewers there, another $46,000 on the I&I, which I was chatting with Brian. He figures they're about halfway done this year's projects anyway. In recreation, about another $25,000 on the baseball, the drainage for gear. In Harrison, we had a pool liner for about $13,000, and the Oregon carpets were cleaned for $1,200. So, as you can see, being July, everything's active in all the departments right now.
May I just ask?
Certainly.
What the administration, it's at 119,000?
I'll be primarily the payrolls, probably there's 3 in there. Every few months you end up 3, so there's that. Yeah, as far as capital, we haven't done too much lately, no. We hope we'll do our fiber optic soon. We're gonna work on
Councillor
that.
Faulkner.
Yeah, through you, Councillor Caldwell. The I&I project in Palmerton, I meant to ask Brian when he was here, unfortunately, he's gone, but are we going to be looking at major projects down the road because of the I&I work? Or once they're finished the I&I, we should be in pretty good shape?
Yeah, this is the actual I&I work.
Right.
Because we've been aware of the problem for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So, as we kind of mentioned before, we did the replacement of the mains, and we did that project for $2.5 million or so. And now, last year and this year, this is the fixing all the little problems, the manholes, the connections and all that too.
Yeah, one of the issues was the construction of, the original construction of the, some of the sewers were actually tar wrapped, tar
Yeah.
paper. Are they replacing that as they're going along?
Not so much through a main pipe, not in this project.
No.
Primarily that was on King Street and Main Street and a bit on William Street that we
Right.
totally
I know where they
reconstructed.
are.
There are some other bad areas, but not quite as bad. It's
Okay.
that, those are the ones, the biggest bang for your buck, so, again, we're trying to do the little
And
fixes and small.
from what I
ones.
gather, and Brian isn't here, but Bill, you can answer this as well, maybe. Even all the rain we've had, we haven't had a lot of spikes. And so it's working.
Oh, it's working,
So
for
what
sure.
we hope to do shortly, we'll have that report back that we can lift the bylaw for the building problems in Palmerston where we had restriction on building. So we're hoping for
Yeah.
that report as soon as,
Sure.
but they wanted to wait to get through the spring and see if
Yeah.
what the spikes, but even, so obviously we've caught a lot of the problems and we're
Yeah.
working on it. And that seemed to be working, and I can't wait for that report, because I'd like to see that
Yeah,
report.
Me
And
too.
it just shows that you're spending money in the right place, that's all.
Yeah,
So-
recalculate the capacities
Yeah,
and.
recalculate capacity of the sewer plant.
Through.
So that'd be great if we can get that
Yep.
soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank you,
problem.
Gordon.
Do you have a question there, Bridge, as well?
No, sorry, I should have gone through you on that. I forgot I went through you.
No, I just, you had your hand up earlier.
No, that was just answering that, sorry.
Great.
I mean, I just asked when the
Certainly.
meters are starting in.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
oh,
we
yeah.
had our first phone call, last week, and that went well. So what, we've done is we've sent a list of customers to, Neptune. And on Friday, we're gonna have a pre-construction meeting, with, Wayne and Brian. And, hopefully, I may as well
Yeah.
announce that.
Yep.
We're going to have our first public information session, I believe it's Thursday, August the 14th.
No,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, that's right. The golf tournament's the 15th.
Yeah.
This is
What
the
time is that
14th.
gonna happen, Gordon?
It's gonna be between 5 and 7, a come and go. It's not gonna be a formal presentation at the Palmerston Arena. Palmerston Arena, like in the auditorium.
August 14th?
Yes.
We'll get a note out to
Yeah,
everybody.
we'll get a note out. We're gonna be doing a rollout. We're going to be, this is kind of where we're at. We're going to be sending, an invitation to Palmerston residents, and then they're gonna get a 8-page explanatory, booklet from Neptune too. So we're just at the early stage where we're ramping this up, but, I think it's gonna start in a couple of months, the way things are going, so. Yeah, Neptune's named a dedicated project manager to the Minto, project, so, sounds good.
Is there any other questions on the approval of count? Then may I have someone make the motion, please? No, Mayor Bridge? Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Thank you, and I pass the chair back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Other businesses to close additional items. Ron, you have one?
Yeah, just, we talked earlier, I had some fall fair people in Palmerston approach me and brought some information to give out to council about their fall fair.
Yes.
And we're fortunate enough that we're going to have a couple events happening at Heritage Days and the Fall Fair. So hopefully I can pass that out, and that gives you all the dates and such like that we can coordinate, so we can
Yep.
try and get back and forth to the different groups, or
I
if we
assume,
share, and if some of us can't be at one, we can maybe have some go to some and go to the other, so that we get out and have, and we can maybe let our people know that different events are happening. I know we have a list of stuff on here, but this will give us the
sure,
opportunity.
thank you. And are we going to do the little train again? Do you want to do that again for the council, for the parade on Friday night?
I like
Sure.
That'd be all right, everybody? Okay, I'll get organizing that then with,
So just an information package, and I think it's important for, I think the towns, first of all, I thought it was gonna be a problem, but I think it's good that maybe the town can celebrate together, and then the communities go back and forth to
Yep.
the different events. I know there's a slow pitch tournament going on at the same time in
I know.
Palmerston and such
Yep.
like, so hopefully the town can share a lot of activities and maybe things that turn the crank for different people.
Yep.
So I'll pass that over to you.
very good. Is that it, Ron?
And just one more thing. This is just for information, and something I'm going to take to PRAC. On the weekend and past days when I've been coaching at the Diamond and umpiring at the Ball Diamond, I've noticed that when there's kids playing and when there's kids in and about, that there's a lot of people smoking. A lot of different people smoking at right up close to the fence, near the dugouts and in the stands. And I'm going to research. I'd like to bring research along with our staff and see what we could do about maybe having some no smoking in the stands or no smoking, or bring a bylaw forward that we ask the smokers to stay away from the stands or away from the dugouts, or some way of, I just don't think it's fair to the non-smokers and fair to the children that are in the Diamond. So if we can move them away from the sports field, if they could step away 30, 40 feet or something and have their cigarette and come back instead of standing right at the Diamond. Actually, I watched, there was a kids game going on and I saw the smoke going into the dugout when I was umpiring, and it bothered me. And they don't really notice. They think they're outside and it's not going to bother anyone. But so it's something that I'd bring forward to council. You can maybe think about it. If you hear about it, if you see in the sports fields that there's something happening, I'm going to take it to Prac in the fall. Something that we could probably deal with at that. And we'll make some recommendations and have our staff research it and bring a recommendation back to council.
Bill, did you want to speak?
Yeah, if I could, I'll work with Councillor Elliott on that. There's definitely
some
a county involvement in that, but we can get all that information.
I think that's important that I know in the hockey arenas and such like, no one smokes in the stands or in the arena facility, so it should be no different in our soccer fields or our ball fields.
I know there's been quite a few communities, you were hearing it in the news all the time about trying to come to grips with the outdoor smoking environment. So there should be something for public health, should have something on it as well. So we'll work, you guys can work together and come up with something.
I understand that smoking is an addiction and something that's difficult for people to give up, so we just give them a place to smoke, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you. Terry?
Yes, I have a couple event items. On July 25th, there's the benefit for the Amish family that were in the accident.
That's right, Wes.
That's at the Clifford Community Hall, and I would hopefully most of the council can make an appearance. It's
What is that again?
25th, I believe it is a Thursday.
Yeah, it is a Thursday.
It's there's going to be an auction and there's a cold plate dinner, and so there's a lot of effort being put into this, and I think it's a worthwhile project that if possible we should be supporting it.
We'll get a letter out to the staff, and I think we should get a letter out to staff and council on that, Bill. Just let them know.
Do they have a time for that, Terry?
I'm not sure. It's probably 5:30 to 7:30. I don't know the exact hours.
We'll get something out to everybody, so.
That'd be good.
The other thing is, as we all know, there have been a couple of severe floods in our country, one in Toronto and one in Calgary. And I would just ask that this council continue to be vigilant about our plans for the floodplain and the situation in Hairston, because the next one could be here. These are unpredictable. This is the kind of weather we're going to be living with for a long, long time, probably forever. And some of these downpours, in a matter of hours, you can have 120 millimeters. And if we got the kind of rain that they got in Calgary, Hairston would be underwater. So we're going to be working. I think Maitland Valley's coming to are they coming in August? Or they're going to be coming to us talking about trees for Minto, and that's just the start. But I think we need to stay serious about this, because one of these times it's going to be us, and it's going to be a disaster. So do what we can. I know it's going to be a lot of money and a lot of work, but that doesn't mean that we can't get started. So just ask that the council remain vigilant on this topic.
Thanks, Terry. That's very important. Okay, thank you. I guess I'm the only one left, and I got some good news, and I thought I'd do it tonight because I think there's a press release out there, I'm told. Maybe? Pat, did you get some kind of press release? Or? Yeah. So I thought we'd announce it, and the council, some of you know it maybe already, but we were successful in our 16th line culvert replacement grant, and we even went back to the table when we found out the cost was going to be higher. And I believe the amount, Gord, is $573,000. we received, so we'll be able to get on that project and get it up and running.
Wow, huge.
And I thank the province for their donation, although it's our money coming back to us. I'll add that.
Thanks
but-
for nothing, man.
But it'd be nice, I don't know, it's my soapbox, I always get on it, but it'd be nice if they would give us some of the gas tax so we could put this in and do our infrastructure as we need it, rather than hope for a grant every now and again. But certainly we're thankful that we got one, and I don't believe there's a lot of them out there. There's a small pot, so and it was because it was in desperate need, and we would've had to probably shut that road down, so. It's important that we did a traffic study, and there's 250 or so cars a day go over that, and a lot of service vehicles, and
Are you
Oh.
serious? 250 cars a day go?
yeah, and so it's kind of important that remains open. So
That's a surprise.
that's good news. So thank you very much, and it's nice for our press to let us know that they knew before us.
There you go.
Good on our staff for doing the proper application, too.
Yes, it was a good application and well done, and that's great. So that's it for me. Okay. Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? That's two. That's out of order. One more of those, Bill. Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott, the committee of the whole convenes in the Town of Minto Council.
Oh, I can support that one.
You had to get there. All in favor? Okay, now.
Order and out of order.
Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Colwell, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, that bylaw number 2013-57 being the bylaw to restrict the weight of loads on vehicles on the third line west of Wellington County 5, Structure 110, be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with seal of corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Hemley, that the bylaw number 2013-58 being the bylaw to temporarily close the Lower Street South Harrison between Arthur Street and Mill Street Veterans Way on Saturday, August 24th, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Introduced and read first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Faulkner, that bylaw number 2013-59 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the July 16, 2013 Committee of Council meeting be introduced and read first and second and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Caldwell, the Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Very good.